All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy Podcast, where some may call the Lakers off-season thus far uninspired. Well, I call it inspirational. DeAndre inspirating. I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and today I am joined by a special guest. He's been on the show multiple times before, 30-plus year Lakers season ticket holder, a McDonald's franchisee and mogul. Ask him about the new viral miniature Happy Meal collectibles. My best friend, and most recently, my best man at my wedding last month, Mr. Andy Chang. Andy, how are you doing on this fine July summer night?
Yeah, it's been an off season to forget, let's say, but no, it's been good. All is
Off
well.
season to forget. Hear me. All right. With that said, Andy, thank you for hopping on the show. By the way, if you guys need a best man, highly recommend Andy's services. He did a phenomenal job making sure I wasn't losing my wits about myself and being the ultimate hype man earlier in June. I have pictures to share a little later if you guys want to stick around. But anyways, Andy, before we get started, as usual, it's summertime. I'm sure I know McDonald's has some very specific promotion going on. So why don't you tell us about the miniature collectibles?
I mean, what's there to say? I feel like everyone's seen the mini world of McDonald's. It's very cute. I would say they don't only cater to my kids, but I feel like it ranges from older generations to even my parents find them amusing. It really caters to anyone. So they'll be out for the end of the month till the end of the month. So you got some time to collect those. I know there's a lot to get around to. So call your local McDonald's and see which ones are available for you.
There you go. That's the McDonald's promo of this summer, brought to you by Mr. Andy Chang.
We're also launching snack wraps. I don't know if you've heard. So during this downtime while we fix the mic, maybe you can grab a McDelivery order for a snack wrap.
I actually had a snack wrap tonight.
Get out of here.
No, I had the snack wrap. So the snack wrap is back. So make sure to do that. Okay, before we get started in today's episode, we're going to do premature Lakers offseason assessment and grade how the Lakers have done building out next year's team thus far. We'll also talk about some remaining free agency leftover options, whether there are any viable trade options left to target, and maybe get into a little La drama as well if we have time. As I mentioned before the show started, if you guys have any questions that you want either Andy or I to answer, please do so by dropping a super chat. Not because I necessarily want your money, which YouTube takes 25% of anyways, but because it's the only way I see your comment pop up as I'm moderating the show. Before we get into grading the Lakers offseason, quick Summer League stuff, Andy. I don't know if you know this, but Capture the Flag played today in Summer League versus Bronny James and Connect. Were you able to catch any highlights, or were you able to catch any of the game at all?
Unfortunately not. No. I did see on my headline it popped up that Bronny missed the game winner.
He did, unfortunately, and Cooper Flag. Sorry, I am... Speaking of Cooper Flag, I think I'm Cooper lagging. Hold on. Man, lots of technical difficulties tonight. Okay, I'm back. Okay, sorry. Okay, speaking of Cooper Flag, he almost posterized Christian Coloco tonight and sent him back to the G League without a two-way contract, which Coloco doesn't have a two-way contract right now, but he did play for the Lakers Summer League tonight after not being with them in the California Classic. But yeah, Cooper Flag was like 5 for 21, but he did have 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, looked very fluid on the court, handles it like a guard. I mentioned it, but he kind of just in Summer League alone, he kind of looked like a wingier, more fluid version of Aaron Gordon when Aaron Gordon first came out of Arizona, because Aaron Gordon was kind of like supposed to be this do-it-all point forward. But anyways, Cooper Flag, the bad shooting notwithstanding, looked very good. Anyways, moving away from Summer League, let's talk about the Lakers offseason and where they stand. So here's where we're at, Andy. I'll just run through like what we did, who we lost, who came in. Obviously, the offseason isn't done, but for all intents and purposes, most of the major moves have happened. We're just now waiting on random sign and trade, Kuminga, where Bradley Beal buyout goes, etc. But for the most part, the offseason is what it is. So the Lakers, they lost Dorian Finney-Smith to the Rockets. Markieff Morris and Alex Len are probably not coming back. Maybe Christian Koloko is not coming back, though, again, he did play for our Summer League team tonight. To the extent that he comes back, he's probably just back on a two-way. Thank God Cooper Flagg did not complete that poster on him. Otherwise, Rob Pelinka probably would have said no. Anyway, so yes, out DFS, Markieff Morris, Alex Len, maybe Koloko. In Jake Laravia, DeAndre Ayton, we re-signed Jackson Hayes, and maybe LeBron James. He opted in, but I don't know. We can talk about that later. So I guess take it however way you want to go, but like, what do you think of the Lakers, what the Lakers did thus far? Do you like it? Is it still sort of incomplete? If you had to give a grade right now, what would you give it, and what are you basing that off of?
I would give them a B. So far, I feel as though it's pretty much an end. I think the only cherry that could be on the top would be maybe grabbing Beal off a buyout or something. But I feel as though we needed a big. We addressed it somewhat with the options that we had. There's really not much that we could have done, really, with the limited cap space that we had. So a solid B. As a Laker fan, can't really be too excited, but at the same time, we didn't destroy our roster and make it worse. So I'll take it.
We certainly did not. Now, what are your thoughts on losing DFS? I think if we had been able to find a way to retain DFS, I would have maybe given us an A- right now, but I understand that negotiations kind of went sour, and in the end, DFS leaving allowed us to open up the non-taxpayer MLE, which allowed us to sign Ayton and Laravia. So I feel like you do that swap every single time, especially given age and where the Lakers are trying to go with a Luka Doncic-centric younger roster. But are you okay with having lost DFS, or would you also have liked to see him retained?
Yeah, I'm okay with him being gone. I don't think good for him. He got a great contract. We wouldn't have been able to give him that kind of money, and I wouldn't want to have given that kind of money to him either. So I think for us, Laravia is a nice little backup option, if you will. But I think Ayton was the one that we really needed, and hopefully he can stay somewhat on the upward trend for us.
For sure. So I think for me, I'd probably give us, I also put down a B here with a potential for an A- if we're able to execute a trade and sort of rebalance out the roster with, I think we're missing defense. Like, this team is kind of funky. We have a lot of like mid-20s, 20-year-old players who are very offensively talented. LeBron James is sort of in flux, but like, I don't know how to describe this roster right now because it's just a lot of offensive talent up and down. That I'm not sure exactly meshes, but there's clearly something here. And I think the Jake Laravia signing was very sneakily underrated, like a sneaky underrated upside signing, because the dude is still younger than Dalton Connect by a couple, by like 8 months, but he's already sort of shown real solid defensive improvement that you can sort of work with. And then the Ayton signing, I don't want to kind of like undersell this or undercut this, but I think that signing could potentially be huge. So like, what are your thoughts on DeAndre Ayton? Obviously, there's a lot surrounding his like mental makeup, his work ethic, the fact that, I mean, he did make it to the NBA Finals as the starting center, but then Giannis kind of ate his lunch back in 2021. Having said that, if you can sort of lock DeAndre Ayton into the right mind space, and given the fact that he's technically going to be on this like make good contract, I don't think he wants to make $8 million next year as well. He has a player option for that much, but I don't know. He has a really good opportunity here, and the Lakers need him to sort of perform. So your thoughts on the kind of surprising Ayton buyout and signing? Because before the buyout happened, I mean, Lakers fans were talking about trading for this dude and giving up real players like Rui Hachimura.
No, yeah, I feel like we got him on a discount for sure. So far from what I've seen with Ayton, I feel as though we've only seen the floor. And if this is the floor, then I'm totally cool with that, for the money that we gave him. And then in terms of ceiling, I feel like it's a lot higher, right? So if Luca and LeBron can somehow unlock potential, and I know potential is really all he's been in the NBA, but if that comes to fruition, all the better. I think, but his floor right now, as it is, I think it's suitable for what we need.
Yeah, his floor is like 16 and 10. Those are his career averages. And if you just watch the man play, like he is like a physical specimen who's like built sturdily. He's like rock solid. And then he runs up and down the court like a wing. He bursts off the floor like a wing. I mean, this is why he was the number one pick, right? It just hasn't been sort of shown consistently. And then the way that he's sort of rubbed the different teams he's been on and the coaches he's played for the wrong way, I feel like has sort of brought him to where he's at. Having said that, he was making like $35 million on his last contract. So
Yeah.
now he's trying to rehabilitate his image. And the thing that I like, though, Andy, is the fact that ever since he got drafted number 1 and Luka number 3, for whatever reason, they have like a really good relationship with each. It's a weird dynamic duo. Like both of them don't really play defense, but like they're both very offensively talented. And let me ask you this. Is DeAndre Ayton the most talented big man, at least offensively, that Luka has played with?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. If you run it back, big man with Luca. Yeah, I think so. Thus far through his young career, I think this, in terms of talent
Mm-hmm.
offensively, yeah. I mean, he can't shoot a three, but he can stretch a little, and he's definitely a lob threat. Um, I think if he can run the pick and roll, that's all you really need. So with Luca, he'll find ways to get it to him, whether it's on a dunk or a roll or a pop out. So I think it'll work just fine.
Yeah, I think Porzingis was probably like the last like offensively versatile, talented big that Luka had, but DeAndre Ayton's better than KP, especially durability wise. Now, KP, like you mentioned, like DeAndre can't stretch the floor like KP, but I feel like Ayton can put way more thunderous, forceful pressure on the rim if he wants to than Porzingis. And the other thing is, Luka did not, for whatever reason, like Porzingis. It seems like he has a really good relationship with Ayton. So I'm kind of in on this buddy cop comedy or buddy cop duo that's going on with Luka and Ayton. Obviously, they have the same agent as well. And I think I don't think this is that bold of a prediction, but I think Aiden can average a career high 20 points per game easily next to Luka. Well, what do you
Oh
think
yeah.
about that? I mean, his high in the NBA is like 18 points is the most he's scored, but next to Luka, and even more so if LeBron commits, I think 20 is well within reach.
Yeah. They're easy lobs, they're easy buckets in the paint, cleanup buckets. I feel like the percentage will be way up for him. Career numbers well within reach.
For sure. My podcast host Tommy says Boban would like a word. I guess we forgot about Boban Marjanovic. um, okay, so yeah, this roster is very interesting. And do you have any thoughts on Jake Laravia? I mean, we both play fantasy basketball. Jake Laravia has had his moments for sure. And our good friend Peter, who was also part of my groomsmen, he picked up Laravia like I think 2 years ago when he had his best season. And it was kind of one of those like, in March when it's a looter and a riot sort of deal where people just get usage. And Laravia was putting up like 2010 double doubles, like no joke. And yeah, what are your thoughts on Laravia? Because I think this is the sneaky underrated signing of the offseason. Everybody's going to gravitate towards DeAndre Ayton, but Laravia is a guy who I think still has some untapped upside.
I'm curious to see where he fits in the rotation. So I'm going to temper my expectation. Um, there's a lot of, I guess, overlap with a few players because, he's kind of that jack of all trades, master of none type, and you don't really know, depending on the health of our lineup, where he kind of fits. There's the Rui, there's obviously, well, maybe LeBron isn't even here with us, and then it opens up a lot of minutes. But yeah, I feel like it's still, the jury's still kind of out for Laravia. We'll see if JJ can work with him, kind of unlock his potential as well.
Can you imagine if Jake Laravia is the starting power forward because LeBron is gone? That would be very bad. I don't want to see that happen. But yeah, to your point, I mean, I think there are some things that need to be sorted out with Laravia, with Connect, with Rui. But I will say this, even if you keep all of those players, the one thing that our team last year, and especially in the playoffs, really lacked, I felt like, was just bench depth and good scoring from the bench. You remember, like last year, we'd roll out lineups of like Goodwin, Vando, and Gabe, and it's like, I don't think these guys can do anything. They're trying hard on defense, but they can't put the ball in the bucket. At least this season, if you even want to tell me that Jake Laravia, Dalton Connect, and Rui Hachimura are coming off the bench, like, great. Any of those players can get 20 points on any given night, So that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, even though we know the bottom can sort of fall out defensively. So, yeah, I mean, keep an eye out on Jake Laravia. He's very versatile. And again, like there was that one stretch with the Grizzlies. Again, he had a lot of usage. He could do whatever, but he was putting up 2010s, man. It was crazy. All right. So, okay, the last thing I'll say about this team that I find interesting is, I don't know if this team reminds you of any other previous Lakers team, but this is a weird comparison. But as currently constructed, it kind of reminds me of LeBron's first year here, when we had like Lonzo Ball, B.I., Josh Hart, Kuzma, Randall, Clarkson, Zubats, and then like McGee and Rondo and Lance Stevenson randomly. But like lots of young talent, like just talent, right? But it's imbalanced and you're not sure what to make of all of it yet because consolidation moves have to be made. Right. But there's something here, right? And it's funny that LeBron is still kind of here, and he was the one that kind of felt out of place with that group, but now he feels out of place with this group as well, but for different reasons, and we'll get to those reasons. But all right, so the next question that I want to ask you, I want to kind of like take it wide and talk about the offseason as a whole and compare what the Lakers did to what the rest of the league did, because I know there's the sentiment around Lakers fans that they're sort of underwhelmed and they easily sweep under the rug the DeAndre signing and even the Jake Laravia signing and, place a lot of emphasis on losing DFS. And then there's like a lot of panic going on because we haven't made a trade yet. We've been talking about trading for a defensive wing. Yeah, we got DeAndre Ayton, but he's not the defensive big, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fine. I just want to add some perspective by bringing up this next topic and this next question. And I want to ask you, just in a vacuum, talking singular signings of the offseason, who would you say was the best value free agent signing of this season? I'm not talking about in aggregate who had the best offseason and compiled the best value contracts. Who had the best signing number one? And I'll pull up this sheet right now to kind of give us like a landscape viewpoint of what other people did around the league.
Yeah.
Obviously,
are we talking about just signings or trades too?
Just signings, because I mean, trades is like very up in the air,
Sure.
based off of like what GMs like each other, what conversations are being had, etc. So we're just doing free agent signings, right? So I have up here DeAndre Ayton, obviously, for $8.1 million. And a lot of fans thought that we would have to give him the full non-taxpayer MLE of $14 million. But we actually split it, gave $8 to DeAndre, and then $6 to Ayton. I mean, $6 to Ayton, $6 to Laravia. We've got Bruce Brown on the veteran minimum. That's a very good signing, obviously. He was making $20 million, even though he was overpaid last season. Tim Hardaway Jr. also signed with the Nuggets, veteran minimum. We're not putting them together. We're just saying, okay, Tim Hardaway for the minimum, Bruce Brown for the minimum. Both very good value signings. Gary Trent went back to the Bucks. That was a name that I think a lot of Lakers fans were hoping would maybe sign with the Lakers. He went back for $3.7 million, which I think is just a raise off of his veteran minimum last year. Then we've got Clint Capella, $7 million with the Rockets to be their like third string big man or whatever. I put Bradley Beal up here because whenever he signs with whichever team he decides to go to, that is going to be obviously a bargain signing. You're getting like a 17-3-3 guy from last season as the third option behind Booker and KD for the minimum, potentially. Maybe even if it's like the taxpayer Emily of $5.6 million, I would still put him up here, obviously. And then we've got Jordan Clarkson for the minimum. That was a good get for the Knicks to just get like a microwave scorer off the bench. Larry Nance signed back with the Cleveland Cavaliers for the minimum. Obviously, our good old friend D'Angelo Russell got recruited by AD, Max Christie, Phil Handy, the 2020 Lakers, 2023-24 Lakers. He's coming back to like pretty much start for the Mavs in place of Kyrie Irving, and he's doing it for only $5.6 million. Yeah. And then I don't know why I put Gershon Yabusele in here. I just like him, but he got signed for $6 million. I don't think that's a bargain because he was making the minimum last season. But I mean, there might be some more value signings that I didn't include in this list. But for the most part, I think these are like the big talented names that went for cheap. So looking at that list, I don't know if you have any other input to add, but who would be your number one? Who's the best signing of the offseason?
I obviously have a bias, but I'm gonna say Ayton. I mean,
Whoa.
you're talking about a starter out of all the people that you listed. The only other one is D'Lo, and for someone to come in at that kind of money, who's gonna play 28 to 30 minutes, that's a good game. And then we talked about the potential ceiling that he has. If we're getting a guy who's running 20 and 10, I mean, yeah, that is the best signing of the offseason.
If that is the best signing of the offseason, Andy, then why are Lakers fans freaking out?
It's the expectation of the Laker nation. You know, we always want that splashy move. And I get it. You know, we all kind of feel that same way. All the big markets have that big move expectation. But, you know, in reality, all the small market teams, this is how they live, with bargain value gains. And so this offseason, even though, you know, we don't have that big name, I still feel like we have a solid offseason.
I think DeAndre Ayton is the big name. I mean, this is like a former number one pick not that long ago. And so, yeah, I just did this exercise to add a little bit of perspective because, yes, obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's consolidation trades for wing defense to be done. There are some redundant pieces on the roster. There's some LeBron James work to be done. But having said that, if you can come out of this offseason saying you had the best, like unequivocally the best free agent signing in a vacuum amongst all the other teams in the NBA, I think that's pretty good. And to your point, like my main criteria, like just putting biases aside, right? I legitimately went through all of these and tried to give credence to like, okay, Bruce Brown is more of a winning player than DeAndre Ayton, right? Like he's won a championship. Like I'm weighing those types of things. So I was like, okay, maybe Bruce Brown, you can give an argument for Bruce Brown. But then I kind of boiled it down to like, which player out of this list has a better shot of making $20 million a year again on his next contract if things go right? And I think the only candidate here is DeAndre Ayton, given one, his age, his position at center, and just his overall talent. It's never been a question of like his talent. It's been a question of his motor, drive, and consistency, right? Like D'Lo, Beal, and Brown, no matter how well they play, even if all three of those guys average 20 points next season, are they sniffing $20 million a year again?
No, and I think you brought up a good point. You know, it's that age factor. I don't know how many of those people that you listed are under 30, but you know, Ayton's still technically in his prime, right? So we're getting a guy right when you want him, with a couple years under his belt, and hopefully we can really make him into the superstar that he needs to be.
Yeah, for sure. So everybody, yes, Maybe we give the Lakers like a B, B minus, even C plus for those who are grading this very harshly and hate Rob Pelinka. But you cannot argue and disagree. We have the #1 signing of the offseason. So, boom. Okay, so we will. Next, I want to talk about some other like leftover free agents and get into the LeBron James stuff and maybe some trade options. But before we get into those options, I have some promo things to get out of the way first, Andy. First up, so my wife entered us into this America's Best Couple contest thing that has like Jeff Goldblum attached to it. Long story short, if we win, we get like 20K back, and we just made it to the next round of our bracket after finishing first somehow. So thanks to those who voted during round 1. If I could please ask you guys to vote again for round 2 to make sure we make it to the top 15 of our bracket by next week, that would be amazing. And let me show you guys, hold on. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. So,
And this is for like a honeymoon, right? Or it's just any, you can use the funds for anything.
I can use the funds for anything.
Oh,
so
wow,
this is
okay.
the America's Best, or America's Best, I was like America's Best Dance Crew couple. No, this is just America's favorite couple. All you have to do is vote using like, I'm gonna show everybody. Wait, that's not the right link. Sorry guys, my bad. Like so many bad snafus here from today. I'll send the link in the description box for you guys to vote. America's favorite couple. Help us make it to the top 15 of our next bracket. Yeah, I'll link the main link in the comments, and also link it in the info and bio section of YouTube, Apple Podcasts, etc. You just vote for free using your Facebook account, and you're done. You can vote once daily, but as it pertains to my good followers, even just one vote will do, unless we make it all the way to like top 5, in which case I will be bugging everybody to do this more often. But yeah, all right. So there is that. So
You got my vote.
Oh, thank you. So there's that. And then secondly, I want to talk to you guys about a new book by author Carl Barney. The book centers around something we all strive for, Andy, and that is happiness. Because you weren't born to coast through life. You were born to feel alive, to wake up with energy, to live a life that excites you. The new book, The Happiness Experiment, is the tool to help you do just that. It's not fluff. It's a practical system to help you find your unique version of joy, meaning, and drive. So it's time to stop surviving, and it's time to start thriving. If you want to learn more, take a few minutes at the end of this podcast and listen to an interview about the happiness experiment and how you can bring it to life. Plus what? This copy that was given to me kind of trails off. Anyways, discover your unique happiness type by taking the free assessment at myhappinesstype.com. That's myhappinesstype.com. Then grab your copy of The Happiness Experiment at booksamillion.com. That's booksamillion.com. So that is all of the promo reading for tonight. With that said, I'll take it to a couple more sponsors, and then we'll catch you guys after the turn, talk about some other free agents and LeBron James. All right, so we are back. Andy, before I pull up the list of remaining free agents that are kind of like just waiting out there for the Bradley Beal, Jonathan Kuminga domino to fall, in your opinion, what positions and skill sets do you think the Lakers like still need, and what kind of skill type is this team sorely lacking?
Yeah, I think we mentioned it earlier, but that defensive presence, that lockdown 3 and D type, I feel like it, especially when looking at the championship caliber teams this upcoming season, that's the one thing that we're going to be struggling with. Just trying to stop that, whether it's SGA or any one of those talented wings. Those are going to give us fits. I'm hoping DeAndre. I haven't looked at DeAndre Ayton's track record against Jokic, but I'm hoping he can do some kind of damage. I mean, AD did not fare well against some of those Western bigs at times during the most important times we needed. Hopefully, Ayton can do something against them.
1 second. Okay, there we go. I'm like freezing on myself. No, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't know about Ayton on Jokic.
It's a bad one.
I don't know. I was watching, but this is like 3 years ago. I was watching his tape against Giannis, and Giannis was just like a battering. But Giannis is different than Jokic.
Giannis is different. Yeah.
The same time, yeah. I don't know. We'll see for sure. Yeah, but I think I agree. We need that point of attack defender, kind of like an always available version of Vanderbilt, but who can also finish at the basket, unlike Vanderbilt. But at the same time, to your point about the Jokic thing, I would also just want a third big to be able to just be a wall and foul Jokic, because we actually need Ayton to stay on the court. And if he gets handsy and can't contain Jokic, then we lose our 20-point lob threat and roll. So like, I don't know. We also need a third big somehow who's kind of like more burly and sturdy down there who can eat up space in the paint. With that said, I don't think we're going to find it free agency wise, but this is probably one of the last times we'll do this exercise because we've been going through the free agency options like pretty much every week. But here are the remaining free agents, Andy. Kind of an uninspiring list. There are some bargains you can get here. I'm interested in, I think there are some players here that kind of fit the description we were talking about. We do still have about $3.8 million left of the BAE. We can open up the full $5.1 million, but at this stage of the offseason, I feel like you can convince anybody to just take the veteran minimum. That said, putting like the price points aside, who are some names from this list? Maybe give me like your top 2 or 3 that kind of interest you and why.
Could you read over this list? Because I'm on my...
Oh, you're on your phone. Okay, so we've got Malcolm Brogdon, Ben Simmons, Gary Payton II, Thomas Bryant, Kai Jones, Precious Achiuwa, DeLon Wright, Cody Martin, Amir Coffey, Josh Okogie might get bought out he has like a non-guaranteed deal. And then like Chris Boucher. Those are a lot of names, but I'll go through them really quickly. Again, Malcolm Brogdon.
None of the names are very sexy at all. I'll just take the best bargain. The one that can keep the most healthy throughout the season, keep us alive. Thomas Bryant, obviously he's had history with us. I'll take a veteran presence with Malcolm Brogdon, and I think he could help out in some ways. But at this point, we're filling out the end of the bench kind of deal. So I don't think whoever we do pick up out of the remaining names is going to get very much playing time, hopefully, because that means everything else is healthy.
Yeah, I think out of this list, Malcolm Brogdon might be I don't know if he's the safest because you mentioned health. So yeah. I think he's the safest in terms of like the floor that he gives you when he does play. I'm kind of interested in Gary Payton II, though, just for that point of attack defense we were talking about. And he can go play up and down. He's pretty athletic and explosive. I think that's the one thing that we're missing. And I'm going to assume that Gabe Vincent's eventually going to be put in a trade package elsewhere for like a position of need. And so that does open up a spot of like a backup guy who plays gritty defense. And I would take Gary Payton II over Gabe every single day, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Gabe was healthy relatively last year, and from what we saw, it's just not working out.
Yeah, he had some moments where he hit a couple threes, but it just wasn't consistent. And then at the end of the day, he's just like too small, no matter how hard he tries. And Gary Payton, even though he's like kind of that smallish size, he's just more explosive and like stronger. And I think he just I think he's more of a disruptor defensively and up and down the court. He helps the Lakers in transition. He's like a lob threat at the guard position, which is kind of wild. And then I'm kind of interested in Josh Okogie for the same reasons, just to have like that big, strong, sturdy point of attack defender. And then DeLon Wright. So, I mean, these are all the same sort of players. DeLon Wright, Josh Okogie, Gary Payton II, Cody Martin. Like, these are all like, hey, can you just do the dirty work, hustle, get 50-50 balls for us, et cetera, maybe like run pick and roll in a pinch. So those are the guys I'm looking at. Do you have any thoughts on there's only really one wing here. It's Amir Coffey from the Clippers, but like it's not that inspiring. Like, do you have any thoughts on Amir Coffey?
No, I mean, this almost feels like fantasy basketball where you're just kind of like dropping that last 15th guy, and it doesn't really matter as long as you're playing like 3 times a week. And yeah, let's do it, kind of thing.
That's
like, hopefully, we'll have a trade at some point, like you said, to kind of mix it up a bit and really solidify the core of the roster, and then these guys, sadly, it won't matter as much.
Yeah, I agree. Lastly, I think the other guy that I'm interested in is Chris Boucher. If a consolidation trade happens, and let's say we unfortunately have to like move Rui, and then there's like another hole at the power forward spot, I would say Chris Boucher, because to me, Chris Boucher is like the version of Vando that can actually score and kind of shoot threes and stuff, and like Rob has tried to trade for Chris Boucher in the past, so there is some history there. So I wouldn't mind Chris Boucher for the veteran minimum. He's actually older than you might think. He's like 30, 31 already.
Oh, wow. Yeah, older.
So yeah, I mean, those are the remaining free agency options. Moving off of the free agents though, like let's talk about trades here. Before I like throw out some names, if you could snap your fingers and trade for a player that you think would help / fit this team, who would that be? I'm not putting any restrictions on you. It could be as pipe dream as you want, or it can be semi-realistic, or you can give me a pipe dream and then a realistic option. I know one name that Lakers fans really were sort of circling around was Herb Jones out of the New Orleans Pelicans, but he actually just re-signed with them for like an extension that'll take him up to 2031. So remove him off the list. Yeah, if you had like a genie lamp and you rubbed it, who's the player that you're rubbing out of that lamp? Pause.
Oh man, if we're talking like pipe dream, okay, this is the top of my list. Okay, well, I have a few.
Okay.
The impossible one, Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. Like that would be amazing if somehow we could match him. Yeah, that's not happening. Defensive player. Yeah. The other one, very close to the same level type of dream, is I'll take Bam Adebayo, please. That would be great. He's that like prototypical. He'll last through all 82, and then he'll still play your 40 minutes in the postseason every single game because he's that versatile. And then a little less of a pipe dream, but still very probably improbable, would be like an OG. I'll take that guy. He's like a 6'8" versatile guy who can stop that three, the superstar SGA type of deal, or he can even man up and take a bigger sized 4 or even a 5 come playoff time, depending on who you're playing. So those would be my super unrealistic dreams.
I like OG. He might be more realistic than you think if LeBron wants to go to New York. I like OG. What do you think about? Okay, so you gave me, obviously, I like the Bam Adebayo, I like the JJJ, but like if I kind of like reframe the question a little bit more to say like, hey, Lakers are actually thinking of rolling with Ayton and hoping that he can just be the center of the future. So if you know that Ayton's there, do you still think Bam Adebayo and JJJ fit?
I think they do. Yeah, I feel like depending on the playoff. I mean, I'm always looking toward the playoffs. And when you look at how rotations change, how lineups change, it gets smaller the closer you get to the finals. But we couldn't even make it out of the first round this time around, or this past time. So you need enough size to get through the early rounds to get to that latter stage. So yeah, I think Ayton will last you through the early rounds, depending on who you're playing. But as I said, those more versatile guys, they'll be playing the minutes that matter the most, whoever you're playing against.
Yeah, I think you've sold me, even though we can't get JJJ and Bam Adebayo. Although, I don't know. Bam Adebayo, who knows what the Heat are doing. But yeah, I think the league is starting to size up again and play two bigs. And if you have two versatile bigs, it's even more doable. Now, like, let's say, okay, let me find a player for you that's a peg down from like a JJJ and a Bam Adebayo, who I think could be gettable at some point, maybe not right now. But what were your thoughts beyond like pairing like an Onyeka Okongwu next to DeAndre Ayton? Because this is a name that the Lakers have inquired about even just this past deadline, comes from USC, kind of a jack of all trades, master of none power forward as well. But who knows? Maybe he still has some untapped upside.
Yeah, I think the best thing about our roster is obviously Luka, and Luka can mesh, I think, with anyone really. It's just a matter of how well they mesh. So when you look at someone like a longer, um, what is he, 7'1" or something, some really lengthy guy who can play that 4 or 5 and still athletic, I think it works perfectly.
Yeah, I would love Onyeka. I think he's undersized, like 6'9", but he does have a long wingspan and plays bigger than what his listed height is at. So I want to go back to the OG thing, because I think what Lakers fans want right now, and I think this is where people are framing things, like they want a wing, like a defensive wing, right? Who besides OG Anunoby, because he's probably out of our range, unless again LeBron wants to go to New York. Who besides him would you be looking at? I mean, the popular names right now are Andrew Wiggins out of the Heat. If Miami decides to come off their pedestal of asking for everything for us, for a player that has a $30 million player option, there's Andrew Wiggins. There's DeAndre Hunter from the Cavs. And then I'm going to start going lower than that, okay? This is like the bargain bin guys. But this is also more realistic. And if you have DeAndre Ayton already in tow, maybe the Lakers want to go for like, what's the baseball analogy? Like the bunt or something? At this point for the wing. Is that right?
You kind of choke up on your bat to just get a base hit. You're
Yeah,
not swinging for the fences. Yeah.
Exactly. So these are those types of guys. These are those types of wings. We've got Kelly Oubre, Royce O'Neal, Matisse Thybulle. This is a weird one. Patrick Williams out of the Chicago Bulls. He's going to make like $18 million over the next 3-4 years, but he's pretty good defensively, just has never hit it offensively. Jonathan Isaac out of the Orlando Magic. I think they want to get off of his contract. Do the Lakers want to take on an injury risk, though? But Jonathan Isaac,
he plays like 10 minutes a game.
Those 10 minutes could be the best defensive 10 minutes of our lives.
Very true.
So yeah, I mean, do you like any of those names? Andrew Wiggins, DeAndre Hunter, Kelly Oubre, Royce O'Neal, Matisse Thybulle, Patrick Williams, Jonathan Isaac. A sneaky one would be KJ Martin out of the Jazz. He might still be let off his contract and the Lakers don't have to trade for him. But everybody else, I think the Lakers would have to trade at least something for.
Yeah. I'm a definite pass on Wiggins. I think he's past his prime. I don't think we need another guy who's going to restrict us in the future. So I'll pass on him. I like DeAndre Hunter. I think, didn't we originally draft DeAndre Hunter or something? So I feel like maybe he should just come back. He's kind of that guy who doesn't need the ball necessarily, but still make an impact both offensively and defensively. I've always had a thing for Oubre. I don't know what it is, but I don't know, like locker room, if he's a great guy. But offensively and defensively, I think he's pretty solid. So I'll take him. I'll take Hunter. Either one.
Yeah, I think Oubre plays really hard, and when the Sixers were healthy, he was like an integral like piece to them. And he's a player who I think he waxes and wanes defensively depending on how your team is doing. If you're competitive, he can rise to the occasion. If you're not, he's just gonna probably jack up a bunch of bad shots. Like that's who. It's kind of Kyle Kuzma-esque, I guess. But I like Kelly Oubre too because if you can like really. It's kind of like DeAndre Ayton. I don't know how many players you kind of want on your team where you have to like crank them the right way in order for them to perform well. But if they do hit their ceilings, they could really produce for you. Like these are legitimate like guys who, and I think the problem that the Lakers have had over the last couple of years is too many one-way sort of players where Vando, defense, but shies away from the basket. Gabe Vincent, defense, will score 12 points one night and then 0 points the next three nights. You know, where it's like Kelly Oubre, maybe his defensive level never reaches a Gabe Vincent or a Jared Vanderbilt, but his floor is always 10 points. And then his defense is not that bad that it's gonna, you know. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind Oubre at all. I think he's pretty cheap. Andrew Wiggins, I think to your point, the price point is too crazy, like $30 million this year. He's going to opt into his $30 million next year. He's another one of those guys who you also have to crank the right way and hope that it like works out for you. Because I mean, he is a championship level player, right? I think on paper, Andrew Wiggins has the profile and template of a wing that like should work out for you. It just hasn't necessarily always been the reality of it. And if the Heat are asking for Rui, Dalton, for like, we can just find the cheaper version of that, you know? So I agree with you. Jonathan Isaac, though. You guys remember me? Isaac, I know it's crazy, but I mean, for a little while, and here's the thing about Jonathan Isaac that I think we can live with. I think his contract for the next 2 or 3 years, there are injury stipulations on it that require him to play like 55 games for him to get the full guarantee. If he doesn't get the money. So there's incentive there in his contract, and I think you can let him loose if he doesn't meet those thresholds. So I kind of, at this point, especially if like, I know we might be trading assets for him, but in order to get someone like Jonathan Isaac, I think the Magic just want salary relief. Maybe we have to give up Dalton, but people are pretty low on Dalton right now anyways. And it's just like, I don't know. If you can tell me that we potentially have a ceiling defensively with Jonathan Isaac playing 15 minutes a game, especially in the playoffs, I don't know, man. It's enticing. All right. Lastly, I have some like younger. So we did pipe dreams of like established guys, right? I think there are also pipe dreams with regards to like recent draft guys who are kind of, you know, you're kind of wondering like, well, why would their team give up on them? But you never know, right? Like things always happen, things change. Teams pivot. So here are my like pipe dream wings. Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith. And I bring their names up just because the Indiana's entering like a weird year.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know. So, and then another name, Vince Williams Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. He was kind of injured last year, but like at his height, he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none sort of wing as well. And then Ron Holland of the Detroit Pistons. I think he's like one of their untouchables as well. But do you like any or all of those like younger pipe dream wing names?
You know, Nesmith is a strange one. I don't think they're gonna let go of him, even though, you know, I feel like they're in that kind of that year Golden State had an injured Curry, and that you knew that they were not going to do anything. This is like that type of year for the Pacers. He was key in their playoff run, and if we could have someone like that, you know, that would be amazing. But I don't think he's available.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. He's like the perfect plug and play sort of wing that can fit on any team. And I think the Lakers are hoping that their recent draft pick, Adu Thiero, will sort of turn into like an Aaron Nesmith, who he unfortunately is not able to play in Summer League, which is a bummer. But yeah, I think out of this list, the most realistic is Vince Williams Jr. If you guys don't know about Vince Williams on the Memphis Grizzlies, check him out. He's kind of like a do-it-all utility wing. He's not good at any one thing, but he can pass the ball a little bit. I think he's a pretty gritty defender. If you can get in on the low, the buy low on this sort of player, I think it could pay potential dividends for you. So Vince Williams Jr., keep an eye out. All right, to round this show out, Andy, we have to talk about him. LeBron James. I don't even know if this guy's a Laker next year. I mean, he did opt in. His son did play for the Lakers Summer League team and almost hit the game-winning three-point shot. Was giving Cooper Flag the business a little bit in the post and standing him up right. But it's weird because I don't know. I don't know if LeBron's playing coy. I don't know what's going on. The statements that him and Rich Paul released after they opted in, saying pretty much that we know the Lakers are going this direction. We just want to win, et cetera, et cetera. Is this the end? What's your read on LeBron? When we talked about this back in March, fresh off of the Luka debut, it was my bachelorette weekend. And you had a very interesting but very simple and intuitive take on how LeBron might be feeling even before this offseason started. And this was when the Lakers were actually kind of good with LeBron and Luka, right? So if you want to articulate those thoughts and anything else you had on LeBron, now's your time.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're in a great spot either way you look at it. On one end, he opted in, and let's say he plays the full year. I think it really gives us the idea of whether or not Luka and LeBron can coexist. And hey, we said we gave it a shot with those two. On the other hand, he opts in, and then he forces a trade, and we get, I'm thinking, a pretty good haul. Whatever we're gonna give up, we have to demand something for a GOAT, right? And something is going to be great coming back to play alongside Luka. So I'm not worried at all. I'm feeling pretty good, whether he plays or not in a Laker uniform. I'm happy about it. But for him to come to us, what, 7 years ago? No, 6 years ago?
7 or 8, yeah, 2018.
Yeah. And for us to help us win one ring, I mean, I think that was worth the investment. It provided a lot of great memories in the past 6 or 7 years. So I've been happy. If we have to say goodbye, then it's been a great time. If we're sticking it out one more year, then let's do it and run it back with a full year of Luka LeBron. But yeah, you mentioned it earlier in the show. LeBron came into our team kind of as a black sheep almost, didn't really quite fit in with that group. And now he's back to being that black sheep without his best friends, his OGs. Yeah, and I think it's kind of a strange coming around full circle kind of moment where we're thinking, is this the time to say goodbye? And can this really work with Luka? I don't know. What do you think, man? You're the expert.
Well, I mean, when I talked to you about this, you brought it into my head that you were like, you told me, how do you think LeBron feels about Luka? And I said, what do you mean by that? And you were like, I don't know. Do you think that he views Luka as like a homie? And I was like, I think he respects Luka. I think he knows Luka is good for the Lakers and good for the game. Would LeBron James rather be playing with Anthony Davis? Yes. And if you boil it down to just like that human element, I think all of us and LeBron James himself can compartmentalize the fact that yes, this move makes sense for the Lakers' future. It may even make sense for the present now. I may even be able to win with Luka if my heart's in it. I'm just wondering if his heart is in it without his friends. This just boils down to that. It's that simple, right? For someone that can go wherever he wants at any moment, because to me, there's a disconnect. You just got DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and you. That's a pretty good core if you just fill out the defensive edges, right? So in my head, I'm like, well, why doesn't LeBron James feel like he can win with this starting point? Because we haven't given up any assets yet in a trade, So then when I ask that question, then my mind goes to, I don't really think it's about the winning aspect as much as he's saying. I think it's more, I want to win, and I want to win with people that my friends. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm simplifying it down, but like that's how I would feel, because if I look to my left and my right, like this team is closer to like Bronny's age than LeBron's age, you know, which is why I feel like he'd feel more comfortable like with like the Warriors going back, like the Mavericks where AD is there. Like to me, it just might like obviously his son is here, but it has to feel a little bit lonely, the generational gap, you know, where JJ Redick is his homie and that's the coach. Any thoughts to say about that?
Yeah, and I think to make matters even, I don't know if it's worse, but just to kind of make it more evident, he has his son there, right? And it's just kind of like, well, he's not my homie, he's my son. And kind of like I'm what age am I living in right now? It's an outer worldly experience, I'm sure, for him to get to this point where his teammates are half his age and he's really become, that outsider that, we just discussed. And I think even as we grow older in our latter 30s, we gravitate towards the people that we've been with. It's hard to make new friends when we get older. So, yeah, I think that's a good point that we, talk about it, that I think sometimes is overlooked, because these are not just superhuman athletes. They also have a human side to them.
Yeah. Who would you say is LeBron's best friend right now on the Lakers? That you think he can, like, outside of his son, that he can pull over and be like, yo, let's talk about this real quick?
Yeah, it's crazy. I almost feel like at this point, it might be just like AR. Because I don't see him and any of the bench players really. Well, okay, so Keith is gone, right? He's not.
Yeah, Keith is. I don't think we're not going to spend a roster spot on him. Yeah, Keith is gone.
Yeah, and I honestly can't think of him wanting to really hang out with anyone else. Like, obviously, aside from his son, but AR is going to teach him golf, and that's his new thing.
That's true. Maybe his relationship with AR can continue to grow. But if you remember, like just 2 years ago, that meme of LeBron and AR was going around where AR's eyes were like bug-eyed open, and LeBron was like, you got to do this and do this. And you're now telling me that that's his best friend in the locker room because everybody else is gone. To me, that feels like existential crisis, LeBron. And I think he knows it too. Like the end is near. So for him, I think it's almost just like him letting the world. I don't think it's this like, hey, Rob, you got to do what's like, you got to make these winning moves. That's obviously part of it, but it's like you have Luka on your team and you just got DeAndre Ayton. Like we could like start comparing, like if we traded you to the Knicks or whatever comes back because of the salary ballast that has to come back, we're at least getting Mikal Bridges or something, or Karl Anthony Towns. Is that roster with you that much better than Luka Doncic, DeAndre Ayton, Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura with you? I feel like there's no like clear cut, if I go to this team, I'm going to win. And so for me, that's why I go back to, I think this is more LeBron sort of like airing it out to everybody that like, hey, I don't know how much longer I'm doing this. And I kind of just want to feel a little bit comfortable on the way out. I hope it's with the Lakers, but right now I can put myself in his shoes and be like, this feels awkward. Like maybe LeBron can just kind of put his head down and go to work, kind of like how he did second half of last season. And that really drives him. But from what I've seen with LeBron, he really operates as someone who has to be like the ringleader, of the group and the culture. And maybe he'll still be that, but it just feels very Luka-ish. Like even the fact that DeAndre is here, like they're the buddies, and LeBron is just kind of like, cool. It's like, well, what? So Marcus put a good comment, made a good point in the comments. He said, cut Shake and give the roster spot to Kevin Love, so Bron will have him as a homie. I mean, that's not a bad idea, maybe, if that's going to engage LeBron. But then again, like the Lakers have so many roster needs that it is just giving LeBron a best friend like the best use of that. I mean, it would be nice to bring Kevin Love back home, UCLA native. So, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that if that's honestly what's going to get LeBron to lock in. What do you think about that? Or are you just willing to let LeBron sort of figure this out on his own and make whatever decision is best for him? Or are you trying to make this like, let's see what we can do to keep LeBron here and like kind of assuage that like this awkwardness for him, I guess?
Maybe we can fill the role through like an assistant spot, but even that seems a bit weird. Kevin Love, yeah, I mean, he's not going to play any minutes, and we're not developing him at any point. But yeah, if it's going to keep him locked in, if it's going to keep him happy, and we're just talking about the last guy on the bench anyway, let's do it.
I'm with the Kevin Love thing. If we can consolidate two players and get back someone that we really need on this roster, like that defensive wing, and then we have an open roster spot all of a sudden. Yeah, yes, give it to Kevin Love. Give it to a homie, even if it's Chris Paul, whatever. Like LeBron just needs somebody. Like it's weird for me to think that LeBron's best homie is the coach right now. Like realistically speaking. Yes. Who he does podcasts with, or he used to do podcasts with. So, I mean, that's my biggest nugget from all of this that I think is going under discussed. Just the fact that like, it's awkward, like people are going to talk about like LeBron wants to win this. LeBron is putting pressure on the front office. I'm like, is he really though? Like, okay, my last question, do you think he would be doing all of this and being this vocal if Anthony Davis was still on the roster?
Probably not. I mean, to some degree, it's always gonna happen, right? And it's not even like, did LeBron even put out a statement? I feel like it's just that one statement from his agent. So I mean, take it for what it's worth. It's, I guess, like a leverage power move, but it's always been like that every season.
That's true. This is a little bit more vocal, and the first that I've seen him do it in the last couple of years, and I don't think it's any coincidence that it's because it's with a roster that no longer features his best friend. I think if Anthony Davis were still here, if LeBron James were to play his leverage hand, it would be on behalf of both of them, But now to me, it feels like a clear separation of like me, you guys, future. I'm here. What is going on? So I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion as we continue on in the summer. I, for one, hope LeBron is still here because we saw enough flashes of him and Luka together that it's like, oh, actually this might work to have two visionary playmakers. And you have DeAndre Ayton here. Like this dude could average 28 points off of LeBron and Luka lobs. So I just want to see a little bit more of it before we like, all right, trade him for whatever we can get from the Mavericks and Max Christie's here, and then then the Lakers feel really weird, As it stands, I'm still expecting to see Anthony Davis in a Lakers jersey on media day, but I know that's not going to happen. I just feel like the last season has been so weird, and I'm sure it's felt even more so like that for LeBron. So anyways, Andy, thank you for joining me tonight on this podcast and this episode. It's been wouldn't say it's a crazy off season, but it's been interesting to say the least with the LeBron stuff and the fact that we have reshaped the roster around Luka, and it seems like our dynamic duo is less LeBron and Luka and more Luka and DeAndre Ayton. I don't know how this happened, but here we are. So thank you for joining me. Anything else you want to plug? While you do that, I'm going to post some. Oh, look at that! I'm going to post some. I don't know if you can see this, but these are wedding photos. Andy as my best man.
I cannot see it, but I will plug in that please vote for the America's Best Couple.
Yes, please.
You guys deserve it.
Thank you. I'm showing my picture. I'm showing the picture of us with my ball is wife coach's clipboard in the groom suite. We've got the huddle. And then I'm showing the picture of, okay, so let me explain this to everybody. This is the bouquet shot, but we did like a jump ball picture. If you're looking for wedding inspo shots, do this one. I had our officiant hold the bouquet like a basketball while me and my wife crouched down along with our wedding parties trying to catch the bouquet/basketball. It's a great photo. It was a great day. Weather was perfect. Lighting was perfect. Andy did a great job as my best man. There it is. And he did a great job tonight being my podcast partner that I could bounce stuff off of. As usual, please follow us on X at Lakers Legacy Pod. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel of the same name at Lakers Legacy Pod. And please vote for us, me and my wife, for America's next best dance crew couple. It's just America's favorite couple. Help us win back some of our wedding expense money. I'll put the link in the show notes, bio, info, etc. And with that said, Andy, I will see you later.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, let me